Hey everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres, and obviously this morning I'm out in the greenhouse. Now the last time you guys saw me here, I was talking about the fact that I needed to add some more rollers and maybe some more loops to the hydroponics. But my biggest project today is actually twofold. I still have to do that, but I have to move these buckets around. I'm starting to replant. I need to do final harvests on a couple of these buckets. I need to make some more accessible, some less accessible, that sort of thing. So I have two unused wicking totes at the end of this bed right now. It is time to start planting some of our fall crops. Some of these things I want really easy access to, like the kohlrabi. I need to really maintain an eye on. We had a infestation of caterpillars the other day, and one leaf got eaten. A little bit of BT took care of that problem. So it is now time to move some other things around. I'm going to be doing some hard pruning on a couple of things. I just need better access to a few things and less access to others. So let's get started and we'll see what happens. This is kind of free form. I have my clipper with me, and I'm going to trim the flowers, some of the flowers off of the basil, just to get them out of the way because they're leaning into some other things right now. And the smell here is just wonderful. It's just delightful to have all these herby smells going on, but I have to be a little practical. However unattractive that may seem to me at this moment. So I'm just trimming off some of the flowers that are in the way. And I'm going to use this bucket here. I have to have slightly better access to this pepper. It is super full right now, and I think one of the things I need to do is just plain harvest it. It's falling over. I'm also going to trim a few more flowers off here. It'll just make it easier. Everything's leaning because of the flowers. They sort of cantilever the plants over harder than they need to be, and the plants will have no problems making more flowers. Basil's very good at that. In fact, it's a bit of a pain how fast it goes to seed and everything else around here. Now, the nice thing about that is I do have some plants in the garden that went to seed, and they seeded actually down in the cement blocks rather than in the bed. So they didn't sprout until we started to get the monsoon rains, which is great because that means I've got sort of a succession planting of the stuff that I put in early, and then the stuff that naturally came up much later. As you'll see, this pepper plant here is totally full. This is Godfather Peppers. Just gonna snip some of these off. I need some peppers for a project I want to do in the kitchen anyway. So I'm just simply going to lighten the load on this plant. These are a very heavy producing pepper, but this plant is tilting over, so it's time to give it a little bit of a break. We actually don't eat a huge quantity of peppers in comparison to some folks. I have some more steaks down in the studio, but I'm hoping this will just do the job. Yeah, just a little bit more vertical. That's all I'm asking for here. And this guy will take off one of his peppers too. Maybe two. I don't know, maybe 3. I want to get the biggest off of here so that it has a little break for a while. There we go. Okay, I am going to spin this so that the out of control basil which is currently getting a flower haircut is on the back side. Now some people do make flower pesto. I don't. To be honest, we're not huge pesto fans. I know that's a sin in some circles, but it's just a fact. And one of the reasons we like to grow things is so that we have options, not so that we are forced to eat something that we don't like. That's a little bit better haircut, shall we say. Take off a few of these slightly scudgy bottom leaves. I'm a big fan of removing not great looking leaves. And I am seeing a small plant coming up in here, and I know what it is. There's a potato in here. But it's probably one of those tiny little bits of a root. That's the best way to put it. I also have another basil plant coming up over there. That's fine. Okay. So these are all Godfather peppers and basil. Now we'll put this guy, the kohlrabi, right in front of him, because I'm watching these. I want to make sure they don't get giant. Now I have a pot of Bok Choy back here, and it's going to look awful. It got chewed on by caterpillars. We had this weird infestation of some other kind of caterpillar than usual. That's the best way to put it. And let's see if I can get back in here a little bit better. This is kind of an awkward location with lighting. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the Thai basil over. I'm going to spin it around. This basil has been awesome this year. It smells so wonderful. It looks beautiful, but I need to make it tilt in the other direction a little. There we go. It'll make it a little easier to water too. But it is just so delightful. I've never grown it before, and we love it. It's just for the flowers and the smell is worth it. Now what I have here is I have Bok Choy. It has some dead caterpillars on it because I sprayed everything. It had caterpillar problems in here with BT the other day. It's also got some dead leaves on it. And I'm going to get these out of here. I need to size up to my big cutter. And I know that most of this is going to go in the compost pile. It's just the way it is. It was back there, tucked into the back, and they wound up, oh, there's a caterpillar that's not dead. We can fix that. So what I'm going to do with this today is I'm going to take the remaining decent part of it into the house, and I'm going to blanch it as greens and freeze it because it'll be used in soup. So that way I'm not losing it. Obviously it needs to be washed. It's got, like I say, it's got dead caterpillars on it. But there we go. There's one. I've been debating exactly what to do with this, and I knew I couldn't hold it anymore. We just haven't been doing much stir fry lately. And some of this came on faster than we expected it to, and the net result was we lost some stuff. It happens sometimes. If we lived in a community where people shared things like this, it'd be great. We don't. So, okay, that's pretty good actually. That's more good part than I thought would be there. This normally lives down by my cucumber plant so that I can easily toss chopped off leaves and any failed cucumber fruits and stuff in there. A lot of this junk in here is actually flowers off of the basil plant that have died and look yucky. But most of the interior of this is fine. So it just doesn't look wonderful. I'll have to soak it in a bucket of water. I'll take the individual leaves off, soak it in a bucket of water, and then I'll be able to blanch it and freeze it. We don't usually freeze greens, but there's really nothing wrong with freezing greens to use in soup. Some people will can greens like kale and stuff like that. I know it's a sin, but I don't even particularly care for kale. It's not something I eat willingly. I have tried growing it to see if that would improve it. I'm not a big greens fan. Just are not. The only greens that we like on a regular basis are lettuce and spinach. And we'll eat those. We'll eat the lettuce raw, but we'll eat the spinach raw or cooked. I'm leaving the label in here because I want to remember what this was used for. Those two wicking toads down at the end were both used for lettuce the last time around. So that means if I were to do something like carrots or nightshade or something else like that, I wouldn't have to worry about it. Any kind of contamination from diseases or anything. Now, while I'm here, I'm taking the opportunity to clean behind things. It's just little bits of dirt and dead leaves and lots of flowers. The Thai basil flowers are everywhere. Which is great, except it makes it look dirty. I don't like that. It's actually going to be quite a bit there. Again, this is actually in better shape than I thought it was, which is cool. And when it's all chopped up and in a soup, it won't matter if there's a few holes in it. Okay, that's that. Now I'm going to get this last root ball out of here. I don't worry about getting out every root because these won't resprout. They're not like potatoes. But since I'm going to be reusing this quickly, I'm going to take out some of this and it'll just go in the compost. The reason I'm doing so much mashing around is I need to replant, and I also need to have access to, there's a couple of seedlings that need to be moved into different containers, and it's definitely replanting time. I need to plant buckets of carrots and some other stuff. So